What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
I appreciate you hopping on. It's Mardi Gras in New Orleans. What are the vibes like?
They're good, man. Just tired, just real tired. At the end of it, this is what I feel. My age every year comes straight from the combine, where you're just like walking like 12 hours a day in circles looking for people, and then come right here and just keep walking and standing. So yeah, this is where I feel the year every year. But no, it's great, man. It's great. Weather's been good. It looks like we're gonna get a nice pocket here before the rain comes and messes everything up. So yeah, it's been fantastic.
All right, well, Nick, let's jump right into it. Look, outside of the NFL Combine, the big story, at least for LSU and New Orleans Saints fans, has been the hiring of defensive line coach Bo Davis. What are your thoughts on that hire? What's he going to bring to this Kellen Moore staff?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, even before they hired Staley, Bo Davis's name was like one that I was hearing, and people were telling me to look out for it and everything. So it's I think where they're at, like if you kind of look at the construction of their whole staff with Terry Joseph and Peter Sermon and Bo Davis, I mean, I think that there's like a high premium on player development right now for them. So I think that's probably, kind of what they're thinking about on that defense. And if you look at it overall, I mean, like they're going to need like a lot of people. Like they need a lot of players on that side of the ball. They need to start thinking about rebuilding it. And when you're playing the cap like they do, like it's going to take some cost-effective players. You're going to have to, take some mid-round picks and turn them into the players, get them to even be depth. And I think it's just kind of an eye on that they're going to have a young defense probably for the next few years, probably start cycling out some of these older players over the next couple of years, and they're going to have to be able to develop them. And going to the college ranks, getting some of those guys, I think it makes a lot of sense. I like the construction of that defense. That defensive staff, we're going to kind of have to see what Staley is overall, but yeah, I mean, look, that's a good hire, and low key the rivalry between the Saints and LSU, like on some of these staffers, like there's a little years long quiet battle there, and it's kind of interesting to see it keep playing out.
Speaking of, want to continue with Bo Davis right here. Anytime a mock draft has come out this offseason, Nick, and Saints fans see the Saints like projected to pick, whether it's a D tackle or a defensive end, they kind of freeze because the Saints have missed on so many of those guys. Does the hiring of Bo Davis maybe alleviate some of those concerns?
I'd say no. I mean, I think you still have to get the right players, and I don't think Bo Davis is turning Isaiah Foskey into a superstar. And I might, if I'm wrong, like clip that and play it later. Like I'll own it, but I don't think that changes anything. Look, I think the big reason they've missed on some of those guys is because they've been drafting late. In 18, you're a defensive end away from probably being a Super Bowl team, and there's no way to really get one. Like people don't let their DNs hit the open market and sign unless you're giving up on Trey Hendrickson too soon. But top tier surefire things, like they don't show up out there. So you're kind of taking a gamble there. Peyton Turner, I think you're drafting him late, hoping that the measurables outweigh any concerns you have with him. Foskey's a second rounder. Brian Brzez's a guy that dropped, who I think is solid, but hasn't quite been, all the way where you want him to be. But I think the problem with a lot of those guys is that you're gambling overall and you're picking the wrong guys. And I don't think coaching or anything's really gonna save Marcus Davenport. I think the things that kind of plague Marcus Davenport are health and just kind of the love of the game. And I'm not sure that you're interjecting that somewhere else, but I mean, that's probably the biggest issue on the team, though. Like, as you look at the downturn and the deterioration, like it really is in those trenches. And, the Hendrickson, I'm not in there letting him go. Like, all those decisions on that D-line, I think, are the biggest issue with the team. And if, two of the five things that went wrong hit, like, I think they're in a slightly different place right now. I mean, like, if I don't know, if you still have Hendrickson and one of the other guys, like, turns out to be good, like you feel completely different about that defense. So, I mean, hopefully it helps them in the way though that they can get a little more out of Foskey. Like hopefully he makes him a productive player. The next guy that comes in, he helps turn him into a productive player and you get more out of it than just a second round pick that's a special teamer. Like, that's the stuff that can't happen. And I think that overall, since 17, I mean, they've drafted one Pro Bowler overall, and he's a center. Like, I think when you look at the team and say, like, hey, like, why aren't they good? It's really that. Like, they aren't getting enough out of their drafts.
Nick, you were on here last Tuesday, and I don't remember who asked you. It was Jake or T-Bob. One of them was saying, if you had to pick right now, where do you think the Saints are leaning round one? And you threw out the name Ashton Genty, and I that kind of surprised a little bit of people. Are you still kind of feeling that?
Yeah, him or Warren, I think, would be the two guys that I'm looking at. I think if Shedeur was there, they wouldn't draft him. I don't think like Mason Graham's going to make it there. Like he's probably going to go in the top 8. So if he were there, I'd have him on the list too. But I think out of people that are expected to be there, I think it's probably those two guys that they're probably looking at the closest. I think there's needs there too. Like obviously, like Genty's, I think he's different. Like I think in a really good running back draft class, like he kind of stands alone. I think at the top, pretty far away from the rest of the pack. And philosophically, like I've been someone that's like, get them in the third round and kind of develop them. But I do think there is a shift in the league a little bit with how running backs are getting valued. They're getting paid money, now that they weren't getting paid before. They're going to get drafted higher. It's kind of shifting back more towards a run game. That's kind of just obviously, the trend and how it kind of goes. Defenses get smaller. Everybody starts building their defenses for nickel packages. So now offenses are going to veer back. And I think you kind of saw defenses catch up overall. And that's just kind of how the league goes. It's like we go from skinny jeans to baggy jeans back to skinny jeans. Like it's just kind of the way, football kind of follows the same pattern. So, I think we're back on the running back thing there. I think he's going to get drafted pretty high. I think the counter argument to that would be is like, do you have the line to support him? Like Saquon without the Eagles line was a 1,000-yard running back. Saquon with the Eagles line was a 2,000-yard running back. Like, can the Saints take full advantage of it? That would be the counter to that. At tight end, I think Warren's definitely in that mix. Loveland too is obviously a good player, but I think the shoulder kind of screwed him a little bit. I think Warren goes first, and if you want the blocking and all that, like I think Warren's kind of the guy that you would favor. So I think he's a real option at 9 too. But if Mason Graham were to fall, I think I'd probably put him at the top, but I just don't think he's going to be there.
As far as Tyler Warren goes, Nick, I mean, look, there's obviously been a lot of talk. Are the Saints going to keep Taysom? Are they going to trade Taysom? What's his trade value? What can he bring to the Saints? Do they kind of view Tyler Warren as maybe that Taysom Hill style player? Because, he lined up at quarterback a lot at Penn State.
He can definitely give you some of it. I kind of, like, when I look at him, I kind of tap back a little bit to, I used to cover the Patriots when they had Gronk and Hernandez, and one of the things with Kellen Moore is that he really likes to pace, and there's a lot of no huddle, and they're usually rated at the top of the league in no huddle, top 2-3, like every year he's been in the league. And one of the things the Patriots did really well, they were different players. Like I'm not saying, like I don't think Todd Warren's there's probably more. I don't know. Like he's not a Hernandez type player, but with the way that he can move around and do all kinds of different things, like there is some similarity there. And like the key to the Patriots no huddle in that 11 season was just like they were able to just kind of put him everywhere. Like he's a tailback on one play, flex tight end on another. He's put out wide as a wide receiver, and like they kind of stole from Chip Kelly, and they were doing like a one-word turbo offense, and like just that ability to move around and create a mismatch, like no matter what the defense was doing. Like I think he could give you some of that in that package more so than even Taysom could. But yeah, I mean, I think there's some crossover there for sure. I mean, I think there's some similarity overall. I don't think you take him and try to do everything. And obviously one of the things that makes Taysom is that you kind of just have to respect the fact that he might just pull up and throw the ball down the field. But there's definitely some flexibility there that I think makes him rare and kind of opens up some of those things that you might want to do.
Nick Underhill of neworleans.football, our guest right now. Nick, we've talked a lot about, the first round, whether it's Genty, whether it's Warren. As far as the later rounds go, is there a position group or maybe even a particular player you'd like the Saints to go after?
I mean, man, they need everything. So, I look everywhere. There's a quarterback that I think maybe like in the very late rounds, Deckers, Iowa State. He got popped for gambling, had to go to JUCO. I think he's somebody that's kind of interesting. I think he's got some traits that are pretty good. But I think they could just do anything at any pick. And there's not a single spot on this team where you're like, no, they don't need a player there. Just don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of one right now. Maybe linebacker. Like linebacker might be a little full, but I think you could still add one for depth. But I think they just need to. I think they can really go BPA at damn near any spot in the draft and be good. Like I don't think you have to really kind of single anything out. Like I kind of like that for them, but it's also a bad place to be that you can justify that at pretty much any spot. But yeah, I think they could do anything and it wouldn't be a surprise.
Nick, I wanted to bring this up and ask you this. I brought it up a little bit earlier on the show. There was a report that came out that a reporter put out that, the Saints might cut Tyrann Mathieu, and then Tyrann said no. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. What do you think Tyrann Mathieu's future is with the Saints this season and then after?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's different people in the building now, so it might just take one department head to have a different opinion to kind of sway a decision. So I don't want to say anything like definitive, but from the questions I've been asking, and I was asking these questions this week before it even came out, like the feeling I got is that he was going to be on the team, but I can't say that as definitively as I we just haven't seen these people work. Like I've never seen Brandon Staley make a decision before, so it's kind of even a little bit harder to anticipate that, but. I kind of think he's going to be on the team. But I think they're in a place where anything could happen, and they do need to get younger at some point. And if he's on the team this year, like I do think that there's probably a I'd need to show vast improvement as a team overall to continue to stay the course beyond this season. If they're trying to win again this year, and it sounds like they are, if they fail at that mission. I think you really got to get younger in a hurry. If you win a bunch of games and surprise people, I think kind of trying to keep it together. But look, he's probably reaching a point too in his career where there's a couple of years left on the clock. So I don't think it's like there's a wide swath of runway there left. But I think Tyrann probably has about 2-3 years left in him. I think that's how long he wants to play. I think I've heard him say that before. And, I think as you're trying to establish a culture and everything, a guy like that, having him around makes a lot of sense. But look, one of the things on my draft list would be a safety. And I think one of the benefits of taking a safety now is that you get him in the building, you put him next to Tyrann. Tyrann can kind of show him how to be a pro, how to take care of your body, how to study, how to prepare, all that stuff. Like, I don't think there's anybody on the team that does that stuff better than him. So I think he's still a great asset in the locker room, and I would be surprised. Just kind of the questions I was asking. Like it just kind of seemed like there was an opinion that he was going to be on this team. But if you don't play a premium position and you're making a little bit of money, like anything can happen.
I guess that's kind of leads me right into my next question. As far as the safety position next to a Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, obviously it's going to be a high priority because you're thin there, but. I mean, do you think the Saints prefer maybe go get one of the younger free agents that are going to be unrestricted, or are they going to fill that need in the draft?
I think you got to do both.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't really have anything there. Like I would bring back Will Harris and then try to knob one in the draft somewhere. One of Joseph, man, you look at what he did at Texas. Like he took that secondary. They were like one of the worst secondaries in the league, and then in like the defensive pass rating efficiency by his last year at Texas, they were second. I mean, like, so they've done a really good job of getting players there, developing them, making them better. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you need to do both, though. Like, it hasn't quite worked out as hoped with Jordan Howden. Like, I don't think he's kind of ready to be leaned upon, as somebody you're depending on to play a lot of snaps. Maybe he develops and proves you wrong there, but yeah, I think it's somewhere they got to double dip for sure. It's definitely a position that needs to be rebuilt.
Nick Underhill of neworleans.football, good enough to join us every single day, every single Tuesday at 9 a.m. Nick, thank you so much for hopping on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell. to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.